Well, Mr. Speaker, hasn't it been a shambolic year for the Labor Party, hasn't it? And I have to say, has there ever been a leader of the opposition with less substance than Chris Hipkins? Because what you get is a lot of carping, what you get is a lot of points of order, and you get a lot of wishy-washy, don't you? It's a lot of wishy-washy. Because beneath it all, they have no policies, zero policies, and they have no plan. And of course, Mr. Speaker, the worst thing of all is the constant flip-flopping from the man that I call Mr. Bojangles. Mr. Bojangles. Because you have to ask the question, does the Labor Party have a single position on anything, a consistent position on anything? And let's just look at the last few weeks, because here's a pretty basic question if you want to be in government. And the question is quite simply, how much debt is the Labor Party prepared to take on? And it turns out, Mr. Speaker, the answer depends on who you actually ask. That's the problem. And if you ask Barbara Edmonds, you sort of get a sensible sort of response or idea. Yep, she wants to tax more. Yep, she's going to spend more. Yep, she's going to borrow more. But she's promising to keep debt around 50% of GDP, and she's promising to get to a surplus within 4 years. And that's pretty basic stuff, really, actually. Actually, big spending Grant Robertson would even signed up for that stuff. But I'm telling you, if you ask Chris Hipkins, you get a completely different answer. Because within days of Barbara promising that she would meet that debt cap, within days of her promising to deliver the surplus in the 4 years, he actually goes on radio, throws her under the bus, and then doesn't stick to that commitment. And instead what we get from Chris Hipkins is that we have to have, quote, a mature conversation about government debt. And what that really means is that he wants a lot more debt. And we know that to be true because the last time they were in government, they added $120 billion extra in debt, and we have nothing to show for it except economic pain and economic suffering. Now, Mr. Speaker, the Green Party and Te Pāti Māori, they may have 2 leaders each. But under the Labor Party, under Chris Hipkins and Barbara Edmonds, we are seeing for the first time in political history a party with 2 different budgets. We're going to have 2 debt targets. We're going to have 2 surplus targets. We're going to have 2 plans for spending more, borrowing more and taxing more. And we have 2 MPs that are totally unqualified to run the economy. And I just would ask you all to close your eyes and just reflect and think and imagine a nightmare scenario, which is Chris Hipkins, Chloe Swarbrick, Marama Davidson, Debbie Naurapaka and Rauri Waititi sitting round a table discussing how they'll run the economy. Well, I have to say, Mr. Speaker, these people can't run a bath. They cannot run a bath, let alone run an economy. But, Mr. Speaker, the flip-flopping doesn't stop here, because if we just take pay equity, let's talk about that up front, because let's be really honest about it. Labor's regime was unworkable, it was broken, it was unaffordable. We've made the sensible changes, and yes, we've saved $12 billion in doing so. But here's a really basic question. What is the Labor Party's position on pay equity? What is it? Because we first of all heard Chris Hipkins say he's going to roll it all back, roll back the changes, whatever the cost may be, without knowing what the cost actually is. Despite having been in government for 6 years, you'd think they'd actually know this stuff, but they didn't. And then guess what happened? The next day, Mr. Bojangles showed up and the U-turn was away. That's what happened. And now he's saying he may not roll it all back because it's a little bit complicated and it's a little bit too hard, is where we are.